All Happy Inventor videos are for educational purposes only. This is going to be a very basic look at the patenting process, and if we are at the uspto.gov website, which is the Patent and Trademark Office's website, and we are going to be looking at patents, but specifically we're going to be just looking at the basics. And essentially you come to this page and you can see there's like 3 different categories and many different selections that you can choose. I want to just start out looking at the basic questions about patents, but there's plenty of information for you in here to look at if you want to learn more. And as you can see, intellectual property is creative works, and the government wants to help you protect that work and allow you and only you to use that. And to varying degrees they accomplish this. And they accomplish that in 4 basic categories, which is patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. Copyrights are for like books and things like that, written material, and the U.S. Copyright Office is the one that actually handles those. Trade secrets are what they sound like. They're secrets that people keep, and so no one's handling those. And patents and trademarks are covered by the Patent and Trademark Office, which we're going to be looking at, or we are actually in their website right now. But we are mostly focused with patents. Now, a patent is a document the government gives you, the inventor, to exclude others from making your product or invention. And it helps you protect your right as the inventor to use and make a profit from your invention. And these patents come in 3 basic types: utility, design, and plant. And each one of these types is for different types of inventions. The utility patent is what most people think of as an invention, some mechanical item. But it also can cover the machines that make that item, the process that does some useful function, or even a composition of matter, which is essentially some chemical structure that you're patenting. And so this is what we're mostly going to focus on. But design patents we use sometimes in inventing because we want to protect the actual look of our invention. And this is for the actual 3-dimensional object and what it looks like, not what it does or how it's put together or what its parts are made of, but just what it looks like. And this look can also include ornamental designs on the outside, but you have to have the structure in there to separate from, say, like a copyright. And there's also plant patents. And plant patents are for what it sounds like, for plants that are discovered or made through genetic engineering. And we're not going to do those. I've never done one of those, but I do have design patents and I do have utility patents. Now, how long are these patents good for? Well, a utility and a plant patent are good for 20 years from the time you file that non-provisional patent application. And for design patents, it's 15 years. And so fairly short period of time compared to like copyrights, which last usually the life of the author plus 50 years. But this does give us some protection that we can actually sell the invention or license the invention to someone to produce for about 20 years. So now let's take a quick look at the patenting process itself. Going back to this page where it has all the different helpful information about patents, we're going to actually be looking at applying for a patent, and specifically I want to look at the different things that you have to put into a patent application to actually apply for it. And again, we're going to mostly be looking at utility patents because that is what we are more interested in. Now, when you're filing for a patent application, or specifically a non-provisional patent application, you need to have 6 components as are shown here. The first 3 that are listed here are actually forms that you fill out for the government to tell them different information about your invention. The first one, the application transmittal form, tells the patent office what invention you are actually sending in and what materials you're actually sending. The second one, the fee transmittal form, tells them how much money you're sending them and what you're sending that money for, and the type of patent application that you're actually filing. And finally, the application data sheet is information on you, the inventor, and other specific information about this particular invention. Then we also have the specifications and the drawings. The specifications are the written portion of the description of the invention, and the drawings are the drawn portion of the invention. And finally, if you're doing a non-provisional, you'll also have to include an oath or declaration. And this is actually a legal form stating that you are in fact the inventor of the invention you're applying for, because the Patent Office will only give patents to the actual real inventors. The specifications have several components that you need to include, and we're going to look at those right now. There's actually 12 listed. Not all of them have to be used, but most of them do. For example, you have to have the title of the invention. You also, if there is other applications that are related to the one that you're applying for, you have to include that information about those prior applications, specifically like a provisional application that you filed for the same invention ahead of this non-provisional that you're filing. And if it's an invention that was developed under a government contract, you have to provide all that information in here. Now, in the written specifications, you also have to have a background for the invention, and you essentially describe the history and the area of the invention and how your invention is related to the other inventions that are out there. And besides that, you also give a summary of the invention, which is a very short summary of how the invention works. And this can be as short as one paragraph or as long as three pages. Now, you also want a brief description of the drawings. And this is a very brief description, usually one sentence, that describes what each figure in your drawing sheets is. And then you get to the meat of the specifications, which is the description of the invention. And this needs to include all the subject matter in a clear and concise way that someone could actually build your invention given the information that you give them. And so that's the first criteria for the description portion, is that someone skilled in your area, not just anybody, but someone skilled in the area of your invention, can actually manufacture or make that product. Second, you have to precisely describe the invention so that it distinguishes over the other inventions that are out there. And basically you're going to show what the unique components of your invention are in the drawings and in the specifications. And finally, number 3, you actually have to point out the specific components of your invention and how they are related to one another. In other words, how are they combined to specifically create an improvement or a better operating invention. And then at the very end, you're also going to want to include at least one claim. And this is for the non-provisional. You have to have at least one claim. I usually write up quite a few to just give me a head start on later writing of those claims. But you only really need one. And as you see here, the specifications also have an abstract, and that usually goes at the very end. And one of the criteria for that now is you have to have under 150 words, and the Patent Office really wants it non-technical. They don't want it to sound like a patent claim. They want it to just be a description of your invention in English words. And if you actually have a genetic sequence, that would be at the very end, which is usually very lengthy. However, since I don't do genetic engineering, I've never used that sequence list at the end. And so these are the different components that need to be in a patent application. And now let's take a quick look at what's needed for the drawings. And this is very simple. Essentially, the drawings need to be black and white drawings and Indian ink, which used to be the old way, so they still are saying that. No one uses that anymore. Everyone uses computers, which produce very nice solid black lines. Color is permitted, but only if it's absolutely necessary. They do not want color in their patent applications. And for the most part, a lot of computer-generated drawings are used, so that you do have some computer-shaded drawings that they do allow. But these are harder to read and are kind of messy compared to a line drawing. So I normally try and stay away from that. And even if I do a computer rendered or computer generated drawing, I try and have it rendered in hidden line mode so that it actually looks like a line drawing when published. Here we see an example patent application, and it contains all the information and components that you will have to actually put into a patent application, which includes the actual title for the invention, who the inventors are, if there is someone that it's assigned to, who that is, as you see here. You will not know the patent application number until after it's filed, so that is actually given to you. And also whatever classification your invention is in will be also given to you by the Patent Office. Now, to get a publication like this, you have to file a non-provisional patent application. And you can tell an application from a patent itself is because it will start with the year that the application was filed. And then you have an actual application number that goes along with that year. And so most applications, when they publish them, put the abstract on the first page. But when you actually file a patent application, the abstract is the last component of your application, which is kind of ironic. But along with the application, you also have drawings. And normally when they publish an application, they put the drawings first. And so that's what they've done here. Generally, the drawings are a separate file when you actually file that application. And we'll be going over that in future episodes. Now, the next component is that we have to have the specifications, which is the written portion of the patent application. And the actual written portion needs to comprise 5 distinct areas. It needs to have a background of the invention where you describe what area your invention is in and possibly some prior art that is close to what you are inventing and how your invention relates to those. You also have to have a summary of the invention, and that can be very short. Some are just a single paragraph long. As you see here, it's about a page, or what would be a page of written text. Then you also need a brief description of the drawings, and this is separate from the detailed description of the drawings, which is in the body of the application. But you essentially say what figure number you're talking about and describe it in 1 sentence or less. And you can see that done here. Then the main body of the patent application is the detailed description of the invention. And this needs to include not only how everything is connected and what parts are used, but how they operate too. And many patent attorneys suggest separating the physical description of the invention from its actual operation. And this is just for certain legal reasons. The Patent Office does not require that. I normally separate the two because they kind of give you a chance to talk about the same information in a different way. And so as you see here, they have basically just one body for the description, describing the invention according to the different drawings. And you have to remember that the claims, which is right here, these are the claims, all this stuff, need to be shown in the patent application drawings. Otherwise, you are not allowed to actually claim it. Even if it's something very rudimentary, like your invention uses a pencil, you may be required by the Patent Office to show what a pencil looks like. That's kind of an extreme example, but they do get very finicky sometimes, especially if you have a new examiner and they want you to show every component that you talk about in the claims. So that brings us to the end of this video, and don't forget that the Patent Office website has many more resources than just this on the basics of patents to help you file patent applications and get your inventions patented. So until next time, keep inventing.